Hey friends, welcome back to This Homeschooling Naturopath. If you're new here, my name's Hannah and I'm a homeschool mom of 3 girls who are 11, 9, and 7, and I'm also a fully qualified naturopath living in New Zealand. On this channel, I like to share content related to homeschooling, homemaking, motherhood, as well as some naturopathic info throughout some of my content here. Today's video, I am sitting down to share with you guys how I plan a week in our homeschool. I'm going to be sitting down with all of our group subjects and all of our independent subjects that my girls do, and I'm going to show you guys how I plan our homeschool week. So if you're interested, keep watching. All right, let's get started planning this week. I've already put my bookmark on the correct week that I need to open up to, and here we are. I am planning, I guess this is both the last week of April as well as the first week of May. What I really like about the Plum Paper Planner is this cohesive layout here. Sorry, now the lighting's going to be really weird. I like how they combine the last few days of the last few days of the previous month with the first few days of the following month. I really like that. I know some people don't, but I enjoy having that as an option. So this is where I am doing our planning today. All right, so how I like to set up my planners, as you guys can see, I have morning basket, group subjects, Arabella, Atlanta, Alea, those are my 3 daughters. I have a little section for work, and then I have my meal plan section down here. I've got this week, notes, and then over here I have a little section for read aloud. So starting off with our morning basket time. Our morning basket is going to be very condensed this week just because I don't have a lot of time to be fitting in everything I want to be doing in morning basket time in the current season that we are in. So for this reason, our morning basket is not going to reflect this when I go to write it down in my planner, but I just wanted to show you guys what my goals would be if I didn't feel so rushed this week. But what is a non-negotiable is our devotion, and that is this book right here, Sticky Situations. We do this every single morning, non-negotiable. We will read the sticky situation and then do a read through the scripture that goes alongside of it. So that is the one thing that we are very consistent with during morning basket time in the current season that we're in. So that is actually all I'm going to write down in my morning basket column here, as well as World Watch News. World Watch News always comes first. We watch World Watch News while we eat our breakfast first thing in the morning. Well, not first thing in the morning. We usually don't eat and sit up to do this morning basket time until about 9. So, World Watch News always is on with us when we have our breakfast every day of the week. And straight after World Watch News is finished, usually I'm done eating by then, so I will read our sticky situation for the day. If you've not seen this before, I just read this little chunk here and then we discuss the questions and my girls choose what the right answer is, and then we will read the scripture that goes along with this every morning. Now, the only day of the week where our morning basket looks slightly different is on a Friday. Fridays for us in our homeschool are our enrichment days. And so even on here on my morning basket template, we've got a lot more on Fridays than we do any other day of the week as far as morning basket goes. I am keeping a lot of these the same, and so I will jot down now what I plan to do for our enrichment subjects for this coming Friday. What I do like to do is read through our poet study. We are currently studying Robert Louis Stevenson, and I have just been reading a few of his poems from this book here. And I just pick the poem on the day that my girls and I are interested in, so I don't have to write down what page or anything for that. A really big goal that I have is to teach my girls French. I'm fluent in French, and every year I really try hard to teach my kids French. However, currently we're just doing this on a Friday. This week I have planned, here, we are going to be going over food, la nourriture. So I will photocopy this on the day, these 2 pages here. I will photocopy these and we'll spend a little bit of time singing some French songs and doing some French chat, and then we'll go over all of these and they can write down and glue these into their French books. So that is what I have planned for French for Friday. Also very important to our enrichment on a Friday is our artist study from Simply Charlotte Mason. We're currently studying Vincent van Gogh, and so I will put this down in my planner to make sure I don't forget it. We've only got a few paintings left, and I also don't like pre-select what paintings we're gonna do. We will just look at them on the morning and then decide what painting we want to go over. Finally, the last thing I have got for our enrichment time on a Friday is our backyard. Actually, it's not backyard birds. I'm calling this our native New Zealand bird study. I get this book out for reference. We saw flying past our house yesterday, an eastern rosella. This is the bird we'll be studying this week, and what I do is I try and gather as much information as I can about the bird prior, typically the night before or like the morning of, before all my kids wake up. I'll find some little coloring in sheets or anything I can find that's free online pretty much, and then we'll basically just talk about its breeding, where it lives, why we can often see these colorful birds flying around our house, and what they're doing here. And we'll always watch a few YouTube videos and stuff like that related to these birds, so that's always a lot of fun. So this week, Eastern Rosella, so I'm gonna write that down because otherwise I am liable to forget what bird I wanted to study. All right, and that pretty much wraps up our morning basket time for the week. As you can see, our morning basket for the majority of the week is pretty condensed. World Watch News and our family devotion is my main priority at this point during this current season, except for on a Friday when we get to spend a lot more time doing that special enrichment stuff together. Now, moving down the list, I'm going to do group subjects next, and so let's get out our Gather Round unit. This term we are studying dinosaurs from Gather Round Homeschool. This is our second week studying dinosaurs, and so far we have really been enjoying it. We've been doing a lot of fun crafts and all kinds of cool stuff. So let me show you guys now how I'm gonna plan this out and make sure I stay on top of it for the week. We do our Gather Round unit 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. So I will literally just go through the lessons here in my teacher's guide, and then I'll write down what lessons we are doing, as well as any crafts that that I want or I plan to do alongside of those lessons. So let's take a quick look at our dinosaur unit here. I've got already my dinosaur lesson planner. This actually you can print for free from the Gather Round website. So that's what I like to do. And then before we start a Gather Round unit, I go through and I don't read the entire thing, but I skim read the vast majority of the lessons, and then I decide what crafts I feel like will go well with that particular lesson. This week we are starting with lesson 3, and as you can see, I've already got some stuff planned for as far as crafts go for this week, so I'm pretty happy that I put in that time beforehand. So I'm actually just going to now transfer all of that into our little group subject area here. Gather Round Dinos, lesson 3. And also I know to look at my lesson planner here, so if ever I don't write enough detail here in my plum paper planner, I know I've already got stuff ready to go for this. I know I have a Mary Anning book put aside, and I have already actually printed the printables that I need to go alongside that, so I've set myself up for success with that one. Actually, while I'm looking at this, I might put down I've got this really cool dinosaur art kit, which I've had for like a whole year. And I've put down to start that on lesson 5, but actually depending on how our printables go with lesson 3, I could potentially get that art kit out and we could start it then. I'll show you guys the art kit I've got. This is from the Make Company. This is totally not sponsored. We got our girls a subscription to the Make Company for Christmas, not this past year, but the year prior. And so we've had this for a long time now and we still haven't done it. So these are the different crafts that are in there. We've got these cute little wooden dinosaurs. And this box actually comes with everything you need. And there's 3 of each thing. So That's a very important thing when you have multiple children. And then there's also this like erupting volcano. I think there should be a third craft in here as well. Maybe the paper is just missing. Anyways, so this is when I write down here, Dino Art Kit. This is the kit that I am talking about for that. Okay, carrying on here, Tuesday we will do Gather Round Dinos. Lesson 3. Oh, no, not lesson 3, lesson 4. I was looking over here when I wrote that and it threw me off. Great. In case you're new around here, my planning is not the most aesthetically pleasing to look at. I just get the job done. I'm sure there are a lot of you out there like that. I'm not really worried about how this looks as long as all my information is in here that I need. Okay, and for this lesson, I already have planned these fossil dig kits, which I've actually got right here as well to show you guys. I picked these up. They were like $5 each from a random sale we were at, and I obviously grabbed 3 of them months ago, like months and months ago. I knew we were going to be doing dinosaurs, so I picked them up. So I plan to do those for this lesson. So let me put that here. Okay, and that pretty much rounds off our dinosaur study and our group subjects for this week. 4 lessons of Gather Round, and we'll see how many crafts we can get to. What I usually like to do when I sit down to plan is the first thing I do is put in our sports that we have on for the week, and then I plan all of our homeschool stuff around those sports. But obviously I didn't feel like that was very important today. But what we do have, and I'll just actually put that in my work section. I'll do that now while I'm thinking about it, because otherwise I might forget. So on a Tuesday, we have homeschool sports. And then on a Thursday, we have jujitsu. And while we are still sort of, I mean, we're not really anymore, but while we're on the topic of dinosaurs, as far as my little read aloud section over here goes, I'm currently reading this Geronimo Stilton, The Journey Through Time, which we're kind of reading to go alongside of our dinosaur unit. However, this book does cover dinosaurs, ancient Egypt, as well as the medieval period. So we're going to be journeying through time with this one, but my girls really like Geronimo Stilton. And I thought this would be a fun one to add in alongside of our dinosaur unit this week. So I'm going to write that down here in my read aloud section. Okay, and now the really fun part, which is probably why most of you guys are here watching this video, I am going to start going through all of my daughter's independent subjects and writing down exactly what they have to do independently for the week. So starting off with my oldest daughter here. My oldest daughter is currently 11 years old. She'll be 12 by the end of this year. So I'm just going to quickly run you guys through what she does independently and how I kind of lay all of this out throughout the week so that we're not missing things, we're not forgetting things, and we're making sure to hit all of our goals. Every week I print out a new one of these with a new design for each of my daughters, and this is my oldest daughter's weekly to-do list as far as her independent subjects go. As you guys can see here, every day is pretty much the same for her: language arts, math, typing, novel study. She does have a few different electives, which my younger daughters don't have. And then something different this week, she is currently doing a junior debate class. Once a week. This will actually be her first class, so that's pretty exciting. So anyways, what I'm going to do now is basically just take all of this and put it in my planner so that I can be ticking things off as she is. But I'll just quickly show you guys what all of this looks like so that you're not left wondering what all of this is. So first off, language arts. She is doing the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts Level 6, so that is what that is. Math, she is doing the Good and the Beautiful Math 5. Typing, she just does a couple of times a week on typing.com. She's really been enjoying challenging herself, so obviously I don't have anything to show you guys for that. And then novel study, this is something that I've just added in to her sort of curriculum as an elective. I got this novel study over at the Waldock Way a few weeks ago when they had a sale going, and so my daughter's currently reading through The Giver and working on this novel study alongside of it. Great speeches. Oh, I forgot to grab that book. I'll put in some overlay of what that looks like. This is basically just a book that she reads. It doesn't take long, 5-10 minutes. She'll read a little bit of history about the speech and then read the whole speech and then watch a little YouTube video of when the actual speech was given, if there's a YouTube video to watch with it, if it's not that old. And so that's what that is, novel study, yep. Okay, her junior debate class, I don't have anything to show you guys for that. It's, yeah, a brand, like I said, her first class this week, so we don't have any printouts or anything like that just yet. Friday is our enrichment day, so Friday for each of my daughters looks different to the rest of the week as well. So for her, her enrichment subjects are ancestral nutrition. This is a child's guide to sustainable nutrition and getting back to our roots from forest, rain, and wonder. I don't know, I like to call it ancestral nutrition. I don't know why. So she does that on a Friday. And then bookshop math here. This is what I call her bookshop math. So she will also be doing that this Friday, as well as continuing her novel study. So when I plan out her stuff, this is what I am looking at. So now I'm going to put all of this into my planner and make sure I know what lessons that she's doing, particularly of her math and language arts, because I need to make sure that she's keeping up with what lessons she's supposed to be on. Although, to be honest with you, she usually is way further ahead of what I have written down for her. So anyways, let's do that now. Monday, she's got language arts, math, typing, and her novel study. So first of all, looking at language arts, where is she up to? She likes to keep pencils in, whoops, she's here. This is where we're up to. I always try to keep sticky notes in all of the girls' books, but she pulls them out and puts pencils in instead. So she's up to lesson 64 this week. And I presume there's 2 pencils in here because she wanted to go back to this recipe. That's probably why that's there. Okay, lesson 64. So she currently will only have 3 lessons of language arts every week, based on the fact that, whoops, now I've forgotten 66. Based on the fact that she has her junior debate class on a Thursday, which will take the place of her language arts, and then we don't do language arts or math on a Friday generally. So she's got 3 lessons of language arts for the week. And so obviously I know by the end of the week she needs to be up to lesson 66 in her language arts, but to be honest, like I said, she'll probably be almost done with her whole book. Okay, on to math for her. And again, there'll be a pencil in here. Okay, lesson 54 for math. She will have math 4 times a week. Okay, and then carrying on here, I'm just gonna put in what else she needs to do. These won't have specific lessons. Then for her ancestral nutrition, I do like to make sure that she's keeping up with her lessons. I believe she's up to dairy this, yes, okay, lesson 6. This is where she should be this week. Oh yeah, and we're gonna make some butter. So I need to make sure that I have some extra cream left for this, because I know, I mean, we've made butter so many times, but I'm sure she'll want to do this. So I'm going to write that down to make sure I know. And then with her bookshop math, I don't necessarily have a specific amount that I want her to do. She knows that she needs to finish the month's worth of work. So we're April right now. So how this program is laid out, you basically you have a bookstore that you own, and every month you have bills to pay, you have books to order, you have things that go wrong in your store, you have to pay your taxes and advertising and stuff like that. So what are we now? We're pretty far through April and she hasn't done much of this, so she's gonna have a lot to do this Friday by the looks of it. So I don't require her to do a specific amount each week, but she's gonna have to catch up with that to make sure she is up to date when we get to May, which this is the first week of May. So for her novel study she's working through from the Waldock Way, it does have a layout here of the suggested like plan that you work through. So this is what I have her following this week. So she'll do copy work, which is here. I think it just goes through this. Yeah. So that'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Yeah, cool. And then she should be up to chapter 5 by that point. So there's that. All right, and that is how I plan out my oldest daughter's stuff. So now let's move on to my middle daughter's work, and I will show you how I do her stuff. Okay, moving on to my middle daughter. My middle daughter is currently 9 years old. She will be 10 in June, so that's just a little bit of reference for you. This is her weekly to-do list. Language arts. For language arts, she is currently working on learning language through language arts, and we are at the moment doing a novel study for her as well. She's doing the Boxcar Children, so that will be largely reflected in her week. For math, I don't have anything to show you guys. She does math on teaching textbooks, so that, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. I don't have anything to show you for math because it's all online. Editor-in-chief, this is what her editor-in-chief looks like. Typing, she does stuff on typing.com, just like my oldest daughter does. And then that's pretty much it. On a Friday for her enrichment, she does creative writing, and for this she just has a notebook that she'll write in, or she'll write on our Chromebook depending on the day and, you know, how much she's written in her notebook and what have you. And then finally logic. This is her logic here. So after going through my oldest daughter's stuff, this probably doesn't look like very much, but it's enough for her, and that's the main thing. And that's what's so good about homeschool, is that you can cater to every single child exactly what they need. So let's get all of this down in my planner so that I know what she is doing this week. I've just turned my oven on because I need to get some buns baking for dinner, so hopefully it's not too loud in the camera. So she has language arts 5 days a week. Her current language arts program is a 5-day-a-week program, so we continue to do that. So she does this 5 days a week at the moment. However, currently we are just doing a novel study on the Boxcar Children, and I'm pretty sure we will not be finished. She's up to chapter 10. So we'll actually spend the whole week continuing with our novel study of this. That is what I'm going to put down here so that I know what we're doing for language arts this week. Okay, and then for math, she will do math 4 days a week, and I need to open up my phone to see what lesson she's on in teaching textbooks this week. And then editor-in-chief, I don't have her do a specific like page number. I do keep track of where she is up to. So this week she'll be doing this whole page here, which is on N and So she'll be correcting these 3 passages here. So I'm gonna write that down and make sure that she's finished with this by the end of the week. So her typing day is a Tuesday and a Thursday. Great. And then, like I said, Fridays are enrichment day, so they tend to look slightly different. She still will do her language arts. She'll also do some creative writing. And then logic, which is her mind benders here, and I will just figure out, okay, she's on page 8 and 9 this week. Great. And that is my middle daughter's independent subjects all sorted for the week. Okay, and moving on to my youngest daughter. She is currently 7. She'll be 8 towards the end of the year. This is her weekly to-do list here. Now, these are obviously called independent subjects, but I very much do all of these subjects with her. So they're not really independent. They're more, what's the word? Like individual subjects, I guess you could say. They're not group subjects because she's not doing them with everyone. Her individual subjects. So this is what her schedule looks like. She does reading every single day of the week, and this does change throughout the week. We are currently working on All About Reading, but some days we get through this and some days we don't. If it's a day where we don't, then we will just pick a book off the shelf and she will just read that to me. So I don't put a specific lesson down in my planner or anywhere. We just do some form of reading, whether or not that's a full lesson of All About Reading, or if it's just reading a book, I'm happy with that as well. So when I go to put that in my planner, I won't have a specific lesson. It'll just say reading. Her math, she is working on the Good and the Beautiful Math 1, and this does have specific lessons. She does 4 lessons a week, and so I will put exactly what lesson she needs to be doing for each day this week. Phonics, going down the line here, this is what I am calling her phonics book. I usually will just pick a page from this on the day, so this also will not have a specific page number or anything like that. It doesn't have specific lessons. We just will go through, I mean, it's pretty random. This is actually what we did today, but we don't do the pages in order or anything like that. I just pick what I feel like will be good for her on the day, and we go from there. Her handwriting, she's doing the Good and Beautiful handwriting too, and we just do 1 page of this a day, so wherever she's at, that is the page number that we do, so I'll write down the page number that she's on. And again, Friday is our enrichment day. It looks slightly different, so she will do some reading of some kind, and she also has logic. This is her logic book here. I'll find what page she is up to, and I'll put that in my planner. And then her final piece of curriculum that she's working on, which is part of her enrichment, is Jot It Down. This is something new that I've added to her curriculum over the past few weeks. We are currently working on the fairy tale project from Jot It Down, and this week we're going to be studying Sleeping Beauty. So, phew, that is all her stuff, and I'm going to get that down in my planner now. Math, next up. She's on lesson 50 this week. Okay, and we should get to 54 by the end of the week. So, cool. Let me write that down so I can keep track of that. All right, we're good. 50, 51, 52, and 53. Can I count? I think that's correct. That's where she should be for math this week. For phonics, I don't have specific page numbers, so I will just write in here that she's doing phonics every day. She is also currently doing handwriting every day. And I will just grab the page number for that. Okay, 7 is where she's up to. And then for her enrichment, reading, logic, and jot it down. For logic, we are on page 10 and 11 this week. And then jot it down. I know pretty well how this works, so I don't really need to go through it and plan anything. I already have a huge bag of stuff planned for her, and pretty much what we're doing is just having a lot of fun with our fairy tale project at the moment. So I'm just gonna put down in my planner, jot it down, Sleeping Beauty, and I don't have to put anything else because I already know what's going on with that. That is all of my girls' independent subjects planned out for this week. All right, now moving down through my planner here, I've got a section for my work in particular. This is very much related to YouTube, and I'll just put down if I need to film something, if I need to edit something, if something needs to be posted, if a thumbnail needs to be made, whatever. I don't usually plan that at the start of the week because I just kind of go with, I just roll with it. But I will fill in my meal plan because I like to have my meals written down here so I don't have to flick to the back. My planner does have a specialized meal planning tab, and this is where I keep all of my meal plans. However, I also like to have this section down here so that I can just, when I open this up to see what we're doing on that day, I can see, oh yeah, I need to make pizza for lunch today, so I better get started on that dough, or like whatever. So I'm gonna fill this in now for our meal plan for the week. If you're new around here, I do plan breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day of the week, except for the weekends. I don't plan lunches. But during our homeschool week, I like to be super organized, if you can't tell already. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, very important to have planned for me throughout our homeschool week to make things run a bit more smoothly. Okay, and there you have it, you guys. That is pretty much how my planner will look for the rest of the week. If appointments come up or anything like that, then I'll just put them in my work section here. But other than that, that is pretty much it. I feel like I'm forgetting a lot of things this week. I don't know if it's the fact that I am due to have a baby in 3 weeks, or if I'm just really tired or distracted. I'm not sure. I definitely feel like I've forgotten to put something in here. I don't know if it's an appointment or what, but there's something missing from this planner. I don't know what it is. I'll figure it out throughout the week. Anyways, there you have it, my friends. That is how I plan out our homeschool week.